and welcome to this new episode of 10 Minutes with Fleet Europe, our video podcast series with the biggest industry leaders. Today, our guest is Colin Sutherland. He is the Executive Vice President at Geotab, and he is responsible for sales and marketing. Hello, Colin. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Stephen. It's great to see you. It's been a while, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in person very soon.
I see that you are working from home. Is that correct?
Yeah, we've been working from home now for several weeks, and it's going really well.
Okay. I imagine that also your colleagues at Geotab are mostly working from home. Geotab is a digital company, a technology company, so this should not be a problem.
I think it's actually a positive thing if there is anything that's positive from this COVID-19 situation, it's enabling people to realize that you can actually have great in-depth strategic discussions over Zoom Info or Google Hangout meetings. You don't have to go and meet in person to have those great conversations. We've been doing these tools or using these tools for several years at Geotab, so it's actually a very natural fit for us to have conversations like this one.
Let's first talk a little bit about the impact of the pandemic. How do you think that COVID-19 has impacted the need for data access, connected services? What is your vision around that?
Yeah, I think that before a lot of fleet managers maybe took data and telematics information for granted. I think they felt it was a kind of a tracking tool to keep an eye on where vehicles are, maybe even look at the odometer reading for residual value or when does the vehicle need to get turned in at the end of a period of a lease. Today, I think that businesses that have got telematics installed are realizing how strategic the data is in telling them exactly where vehicles are, where their customers are. Is there a way to restart their own businesses based on maybe positioning the vehicle differently? Maybe having the vehicle parked in the employee's own home is actually a very efficient use of the technology, enables the employee to conduct their job with social distancing. So I think it's really one of those strategic tools that maybe was taken for granted from some businesses that really didn't think of telematics in any other sense than just managing an asset or maintaining an asset. Fortunately, we've got 44,000 customers, and we are helping them with the strategic use of the data coming from their vehicles to help them, number one, settle to where they are today, but number two, also help them plan for the future.
Can you give one example where, let's say, Geotab at the moment is helping the fleet community by giving access, for example, to the data that you can gather from all the vehicles that you have connected in the past?
Yeah, so Stephen, for the last 6 weeks, we've actually been publishing and updating live on several dashboards on our blog posts that are helping customers look at by industry segment, by vehicle class type, how the vehicles have been affected. We're monitoring, for example, trip activity in warehouses or commercial office buildings or grocery stores. We're plotting that, and we have been plotting that week over week for at least now 8 weeks. And you can see the trends, and we can see, well, how am I in my own industry, if I'm a businessman, and I'm comparing my own fleet to the experience that Geotab's blog post is showing me, how am I benchmarking right now? We've plotted CO2 emissions in New York City, as well as in various European cities. We're plotting traffic congestion, so we can plot how we can go from A to B quicker today because there's very little traffic on the road. So it's all there, and then be publicly available through our regularly updating blogs.
Very good. Coming now to the core business of Geotab, in January, you launched sustainability as your sixth core pillar. Why is the adoption of electric vehicles within our fleets so essential, so necessary?
Yes, Stephen, I think we need to change our thinking on this topic from before maybe electric vehicles was either a taxation discussion or what is the cost of diesel or petrol. And that was the return on the investment that I was going to get. Today, I think we need to really look at the value of that electric vehicle over its life of 500,000 miles at a very low operating cost compared to the combustion vehicle, which typically a fleet doesn't want to have that combustion vehicle after its warranty period because that's going to be expensive, the transmission and the engine repairs. Electric vehicles go a lot longer for a lot less money on a per mile or per kilometer basis. And that's really the strategic advantage that fleets have in going to EVs. You're going to want to go and make sure that you're running your costs for the last mile delivery at a very low competitive rate so you can compete with the other businesses that have already made that migration to electric. So electric is a strategic cost per mile tool. It is not just a emission CO2 climate change story, which is a great story, of course.
Of course, the other important, let's say, business pillar is around safety, is around zero fatalities. Do you really believe that one day we will achieve zero fatalities, zero accidents?
I truly don't believe that's a reality, Stephen, until we solve for distracted use of cell phones. And as COVID is showing out, we're giving more empowerment to our frontline workers in vehicles with more mobile tools for scanning and deliveries and so on. So we're actually almost accelerating the adoption of mobile tools in the vehicle for work. At the same time, we have to make sure that those mobile tools are not being used while the vehicle is driving. So it's really an important concept. And in order for us to solve for zero traffic related fatalities for pedestrians or our own employees, you can't use those cell phones while we're driving, and we have to go and use the new technologies that are available to go and shut them off.
Okay. A final question is related to the job of the fleet manager. What is your message to them? Because I can imagine that many fleet managers are also in a quite challenging environment, that everything that has to do with COVID-19, but also digitization, can have an impact on their future role. What, in a nutshell, is your vision about the future role of the fleet manager?
The fleet manager needs to be relevant for the next 5 years. And to do that, you can't just focus on the procurement of the asset and the sale of the asset and the driver experience. You've got to see the vehicle as a strategic tool for the business, understand the data coming from the vehicle, and insert yourself into the strategy of the company as the fleet manager. Own the strategy of the vehicle for your company. Don't just procure vehicles on behalf of the business. Be the strategic owner and the custodian of that data, and you'll have a long-term career in the fleet world well into the next decade.
Okay. Colin Sutherland, thank you very much for your time. Thank you also for sharing your expertise with us. I wish you and your colleagues all the best. Stay safe, because that at this moment is, of course, the most important thing to do. And of course, I hope to meet with you in a couple of weeks, a couple of months, also in a face-to-face way, in a physical way. This would be really nice. To the audience, thank you very much for watching. If you like this episode series, please let us know by liking it also on your screen and share it with your colleagues. And then we hope, of course, that you will watch also our next episodes of 10 Minutes with Fleet Europe. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.